Everyone talks about British colonialism, but what about the French? That's a whole empire that's getting left out of the story. By the early 1900s, France controlled large areas of Africa, Asia, the Caribbean and the Pacific. Over 50 colonies. But what they don't teach you is actually how brutal it really was. Take Madagascar. France invaded in 1895 and turned it into a colony a year later. The locals were forced to build roads, work on plantations, and serve the French economy under a system that allowed punishment without trial. In 1947, the Malagasy people rebelled. France responded with torture, public executions, and scorched earth tactics. Entire villages were wiped out, and up to 100,000 people were killed. Did you ever hear about that in school? I certainly didn't. Let's move on to South America and French Guiana. Still a French territory today, but from the mid-1800s to the 1950s, it was the home of the Devil's Island, one of the most brutal penal colonies on Earth. Prisoners were dumped there to die of starvation, malaria, or madness. Political dissidents, petty criminals. Even Alfred Dreyfus, a Jewish army officer falsely accused of treason. Most never made it out. Now to the Pacific and French Polynesia. From 1966 to 1996, France detonated 193 nuclear bombs on its islands. People were never warned, and many still suffer from cancer and birth defects to this day. France denied responsibility for decades. That's like nuclear colonialism. And during both world wars, France relied heavily on soldiers from its Asian and African colonies. They fought on the front lines and died in Europe's wars. But after the fighting, no pensions and no recognition. In 1944, when Senegalese veterans protested for fair treatment, France opened fire on them. This was the Thiaroye massacre, and it's barely known, even in France. Here's the truth. French colonialism is not just borders and flags. It was about domination, exploitation, and violence. And much of it is hidden or denied. And in some places like Guadeloupe, Martinique, Réunion, and Mayotte, France still holds control. And colonialism doesn't just vanish when independence is declared either. Its scars still run deep in wealth gaps, in erased cultures, and in silence throughout history books. So if this is the first time you're hearing about this, keep listening, because that empire did not fall. It shifted.